incredible show that is lined up for you, even as we get into candid discussions revolving around the aspect of marriage. It is Tuesday, it is the Baraza, and therefore we'll be engaging youths and youngsters and specialists also, those are counselors, in regards to matters marriage. And the biggest question that we ask today, why is it that men fear marriage, or why is it that men do not want to propose? They do not want to say, or they do not want to utter those magical words of, will you marry me? What is this that gets them thinking that life is not so rosy on the other end? So we'd love to hear from you. Tell us what it is that you think. If you are a young tuck somewhere there and probably are worried, why is it that you probably do not have the psych or the urge to proceed and tell a woman that you know what, you'd love to stay with them? Then we get to ask those questions today, and then we'll get answers from the specialists. And moving on, then we know how best we can, resolve this particular stalemate. Of course, a lot of data speaking of the fact that this is not just in the country but across the global fraternity, and therefore we seek to decipher the same. An incredible show lined up for you. Make sure that you keep those requests coming and those questions coming, and we sample them as we proceed with the broadcast. Later on, we'll be talking matters business. You know very well that it is Tuesday, and Tuesdays we do the business with KCK. So today we'll be discussing about a tax option that is cuts across, that every other individual is involved on this one. Unlike the others that we've tackled before, that will be specially crafted for a certain segment, it is different with this one. We're talking about value-added tax, and I'm sure you'd love to understand just how then do you get to pay tax, what goes into what you need to understand if you're setting up a business, and how then you get to remit some of these taxes. That is later on at around 8 all the way to 9 a.m. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. And as I have said, it's important that we also get to hear from you. So make sure that you keep me company right from now, going all the way. It's a special edition of Morning Cafe, the Baraza, and then later on, it is business with KCK as we talk matters tax. But importantly, we do not forget to look at what is happening, across the world of news. And that's exactly what we'll be looking at this morning before we get to the conversation. As you can see, I'll be having my guests later on as we proceed with the broadcast to the paper. And we have the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, and the People Daily. Let's start with the Daily Nation. This is a hard copy of the Daily Nation. We'll be having it run on your screen just so you get to know what are some of the key stories that have been touched. And the biggest story on the Daily Nation, fallen giants plot political comeback. Who are these fallen giants? If you can see the faces right there, we're speaking of the likes of governors that were not able to find their way back into power for the second term. The likes of Evans Kidero, the likes of Ken Lusaka, William Kafogo, Isaac Ruto, Kinothia Mbugua, household names in regards to politics that were not so lucky to garner a second term in their respective counties. And therefore they say that, well, it's not all lost, because still the constitution would allow them to take up the challenge and see whether they find themselves into power. And therefore they conquered, lost, and they want back in. Former governors who failed to recapture their coveted positions, that is after serving only one term, have been watching the rivals who hosted them from a distance and have begun assembling their arsenal for the next general election. A story captured on page 4 and 5. Just how lucky can they be is one thing that is to watch. Out of the 47 first-term governors elected in 2013, only 22 managed to retain their seats. What happened to the others? Well, that's technically what has been captured, as of course you can see on page 4 and 5. And you've seen some of these individuals, always trying to maintain their relevance, are involved in the politics of the day, and therefore they certainly stand a chance. Some of them also bedeviled on matters graft, whether they would be allowed to proceed. And why is a question of wait and see. The likes of Kidero still battling court cases in regards to how they handled, their respective counties. Kidero, how he handled Nairobi. And so the graft cases that continue to bedevil him could probably be one of the stumbling blocks as to whether then he gets back into power. Another story captured on the Daily Nation in regards to demands that have been fronted by Rift Valley representatives. And they say if they are to support Deputy President William Ruto, then opposition, they have some demands to make. Key is that they want dams revived. That is the Aurora and Kimorel Dam that were positioned to benefit the communities around the Rift Valley. And so more than 70 leaders, including governors, met yesterday, that is in Kajiado, to formulate a socio-economic and political agenda for the region that will form the basis for negotiations with Deputy President. That is a story captured on page 6 of the Daily Nation, and therefore we'll wait to see, knowing very well that also there are lots of issues that grapple or that bedevil these particular dam cases that we're speaking about. The cases are still on. Just the other day, the conversations revived in courts, and therefore, even as they issued these demands, and as they tell Deputy President William Ruto, we will only support you after this has been revived or something has been looked into in regards to getting these dams functioning so that they can benefit the people. The question is just how best then do they deal with the same amidst this controversial corruption case that are in court right now as to the respective dams. So we'll be getting details of the same and developments of the same. Of course, the reaction of the DP later on as and when they get to hit our desks. And a different story altogether. Justice for Chantal, suspects in court. And the prime suspect, Nativity Nthuku, was arraigned in Kajiado Court, where police obtained permission to detain her at the Kitengela police station for 7 more days. We've been following up on this story on a daily basis. That's an unfortunate occurrence that got this young soul losing her life. Police to hold woman for 7 more days as investigations as to the murder of Chantal continue. 8-year-old was abducted from her home, that is in Kitengela, and her body was later found stashed in a gunny bag. Prime suspect Chantal's murder has been detained, as I have mentioned there. We can only hope that indeed justice will be served. Another story on the front page in regards to politics. Mudhama's terms rattle Kalonzo allies, and Mudhama has asked Kalonzo to abandon the Building Bridges initiative and withdraw support for the handshake between President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga for them to work together. But just how much can they deliver in terms of, strengthening the politics of Ukambani is one thing that many would ask, because, well, they have worked together. Not so much of fruits have been realized for the people of Ukambani. And therefore, in as much as these amounts would be dished out here and there, the biggest question is what then would be the plan after that. Former Machakos Senator Johnson Mudhama's condition to offer, or of course these are the conditions that he brings on board so that he would be able to work with Wiper leader, something that has not rubbed well with the allies of Kalonzo Musyoka. That in regards to politics, we'll be having details of the same. That is on our subsequent broadcast. And Magoha makes big about turn on school fees, that in regards to matters education. Professor George Magoha and that is a tongue twister, yes, uncharacteristically gave principals and head teachers go ahead to send students home in the event that they have not paid for fees. This after administrations complained that they're grappling to survive because most of the students have not paid for fees, and therefore he says proceed to send them home. This is contrary to his word right from the time we had students going back to school, when he was always adamant to make sure that he protects the interests of the students. It's a whole different affair, and is a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. Send fees defaulters home, Magoha tells head teachers. How this will augur with the parents is one thing that we wait to see, knowing very well that a majority of them are grappling with the tough times of COVID-19. And speaking of tough times, it's going to be even tougher for the taxpayer. Budget pain of new taxes for small businesses. A story captured on page 8, even as we await to hear more on what the budget will be about, who will be the losers, who will be the winners of the 2021 2021-2022 budget, an outcry as new taxes add pain to Wanjiko in a 3.6 trillion estimated budget. And we wait to see what plays out in regards to that. Evidently, the country is not able to sustain this, and therefore a scenario where we'll be pushed into more debts. In as much as the ceiling could be open, it looks like it's a bit too tight for the common mwananchi, who will be left to go back into their pocket so that they can sustain these debts. And equally, of course, the current budget as estimated. But worst of all is the aspect of accountability and value of money. Just how much then will the common mwananchi or the taxpayer realize the value of their money? And anguish, it's the low level mwananchi who is feeling the hard fist or first hand as pockets dry up and purchasing power drops. That's a story that is there. As you can see, we continue to grapple with tough times. Household commodities pretty much expensive by the day, and therefore as we await the reading of the budget, it is one thing that of course is certainly not going to augur well or rub well with the common mwananchi. And to the Standard newspaper, briefly on what has been captured on the front page, also the story on the budget, man carrying hopes of a nation. But just how hopeful how hopeful are we in regards to the same on the financial aspect on the Standard newspaper? And therefore, of course, they expound some bit on the expected estimates of the budget upon waiting for the reading, which is likely to play out on Thursday. And table evidence, drop judges tell President Uhuru Kenyatta, a story captured on page 4. This after President Uhuru Kenyatta decided to proceed and accord the 34 judges the chance to take up the seats or the positions that were given to them by JSC, but decided that he's going to root out 6 of them, and therefore he's been challenged to give evidence as to why he terms the 6 not worth taking up these particular positions that were awarded to them by JSC. The story captured on page 4. It is something that has been controversial for the better part of the weekend after the swearing in of the 34 and of course the 6 that were left out. This even as the judiciary pushes President Uhuru Kenyatta to proceed and also appoint these judges, something that the president says he's going to stick to what it is that he has said for the benefit of the common mwananchi. So pressure has piled on President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint these 6 nominees he left out, and judges and magistrates argue that the JSC has no powers to review appointments once they recommend appointments as a judge, and therefore President Uhuru Kenyatta is pushed to a level or to a corner where constitutionally he should appoint this, and then in the event that he feels like there's something that has got to do with questionable integrity of these individuals, then he's left with no choice to trigger or to start a direction or a conversation as to challenging their appointment by JSC. This is my defense. That is the biggest story as captured on the Standard newspaper. ODM leader Raila Odinga breaks silence on the mega projects launched by Uhuru in his backyard, saying they are for the benefit of the entire country and not in favor of Nyanza region alone. A story captured on page 4. Well, we understand how then different counties or different regions work in tandem for the benefit of the country, and therefore some of these crucial projects we understand will come in handy to of course stiffen or make it even better for the economy to fruition, not just for Nyanza region but across the country, something that many have looked at as goodies that have just gone to the people of Nyanza that will create job opportunities for the people of Nyanza. But as Right Honorable Raila Odinga argues, that would be otherwise and misplaced an argument. And in the world, a story captured on page 29, Nigeria, Boko Haram leader Sheku dead, or Shekau, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Abubakar died around May the 18th after detonating an explosive device when he was pursued by ISWAP fighters following a battle. A person purporting to be ISWAP leader Abu Musab al-Banawi said on audio recording. That is a story captured on page 29, and still more on what is happening in the global fraternity. Not forgetting, of course, a story that has been captured on page 6 on the financial beat in regards to the aspect of finances. Biden's G7 to-do list: unite allies, fight autocracy and attack COVID-19. That is in his plan. Remember, one of the key things that got Trump out was how he was able to handle matters COVID-19 that got him a bit challenged. And Putin signs law taking Russia out of Open Skies Arms Control Treaty. It's a conversation that has been on, and therefore Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday signed a law that formalizes Russia's exit from the Open Skies Arms Control Treaty, a pact that allows unarmed surveillance flights over member countries. That, of course, will be received with a bit of course, resistance on the other member states, and we wait to see then how they get to receive this. And, well, Nigeria, Boko Haram, that one we've already touched on. 36 killed, 70 hurt in train collision in southern Pakistan. Those are the scenarios that are pretty much unfortunate. And Museveni closes schools and churches. Uganda has closed school and places of worship following the upsurge of matters COVID-19. This is totally different from what has been the scenario. We know very well that somehow Uganda, or Museveni better say it, has been lauded of how he's been able to deal with matters COVID-19 in the country. It has not been quite a tough one for them, but then as it is, when it pushes to a level where they have to close these places of worship and schools, then it means, well, things are not so rosy there. And the People Daily, briefly, the front page: Magoha directs parents to clear fees, and the cabinet secretary says from one selection exercise is on course and assures the process will be fair to all 2020 KCPE candidates. And NHIF on the spot over payout for debt officers, a story captured on page 8. Details of the same on the People Daily. And Kibaki neighbor loses cash in raid. This is quite unfortunate. For the second time, that is in 5 months, robbers strike in Nairobi's upmarket Muthaiga suburb and steal about 20 million and jewelry from businessman in incident that has left security bosses scratching their heads. One of the suburbs that one would look at as the safest. If such is to happen, then one questions what happens to the rest of the other parts of the country. This is after the billionaire industrialist who lost about 700,000 cash and jewelry to robbers during a raid in his residence in December. That is billionaire Dr. Manu Chandaria. We hope that, of course, this would be established, and then we get to know what then could be culminating on this other end, as we hope that such would be tamed. The experts warn over budget without data, preparing annual estimates without requisite information, including the 2021 economic survey, is keen to working on guesswork. That is the 3.6 trillion and 1.3 trillion recurrent expenditure estimates in regards to the budget. We'll be having a conversation on this same, comprehensive conversation, just to unpack and get to decipher on what is likely to play out on the 2021-2022 budget. That is more like it on the papers. And briefly, we look at what my team has prepared, and we start off with this story on matters education. As earlier mentioned, Education CS Professor George Magoha now says that some parents have refused to pay third-term school fees. Speaking during the handing over ceremony of a multi-million agricultural laboratory building at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, CS Magoha said that parents were taking advantage of his last year's directive following the COVID-19 pandemic. And our education affairs reporter, Andrin Kilemi, gives us that report.
Education CS Professor George Magoha says a section of parents have been refusing to pay third-term school fees. The CS has ordered all school heads across the country to ensure that learners pay their fees.
I want today to request on behalf of government that the Kenyan parents who are still denying paying the balance of their third-term school fees should please pay that fee without further delay.
Last year, Professor Magoha had warned school heads against sending learners home for lack of school fees due to the adverse effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Magoha further noting that some parents were taking advantage of his remarks.
Majority of the people who are refusing to pay fees can afford to pay, and they must now pay. This is the last term of the year, the last half of the last term of the year.
The CS was speaking during the launch of a multi-billion agricultural laboratory at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Meanwhile, he says the Form 1 selection process is on course and would be completed in a week's time.
Form 1 selection is going on very well, and we should be able to talk to the nation before the 15th of this month. We have ensured that there is absolute fairness, more especially for the children who are intelligent and are poor from the slum areas.
The government has already released 9.3 billion shillings to fund the free education program. 2.8 billion shillings will go to primary schools, while the other 6.5 billion shillings will be channeled to secondary schools.
2.8 billion, which is the complete amount for the primary school, so there is no reason for any shortages, and has released 6.5 billion for secondary schools. We still have another 6.5 which we are going to release in the very near future.
Earlier, school heads had decried the financial crisis in schools, stating that the government should release more capitation funds. Andrina Kilemi, TV 47.
All right, now the Judges and Magistrates Association is now contemplating to file a case in court to challenge President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision to omit 6 judges in the recent appointment of judges. Willie Dennis Njiru now reports on the ongoing judges' room.
Nyukuri Annette.
The Kenya Judges and Magistrates Association is contemplating to seek legal redress following the appointment of 34 judges and omission of 6 others last week. The association dispelled President Kenyatta's move in the exclusion without divulging details as to why he took on this action.
Let the accuser give evidence. But if it is somebody saying, we have information, we have intelligence information, that can't be the basis to deny somebody a job, to deny somebody a career progression. Today, my members, my clients, some of them, the 6, have no face. How do they proceed in court when everybody is saying the president has raised doubt on their capacity?
Already there are 2 petitions seeking to nullify the appointments of one filed by a Nakuru-based doctor who seeks that the omitted judges assume office as were the list by Judicial Service Commission.
The only way to remove a judge is provided for in Article 168. A petition is filed to JSC. JSC looks at the evidence. If it meets the threshold, it recommends to the president to appoint a tribunal. Once the tribunal finds that there is sufficient evidence, it recommends to the president for removal of that judge.
Dr. Magere Gikenyi further adds that the move by the president will result to loss of public confidence, anarchy, outright discrimination and abuse of power. In his petition, Mr. Magere now wants the 6 judges who are not gazetted to presume the appointment to their respective mandates. He wants the decision to be declared illegal, null and void, and the decision to be quashed. He says the 6 judges faced post-traumatic stress disorder following the action by the president and wants them compensated.
Anybody acting arbitrarily will interdict them today. And the question that will be, if JSC interdicts them today, it is JSC that approved them and cleared them and was satisfied that they were right people to be promoted to be judges. What will be the net effect to the JSC?
The 34 out of 41 judges were sworn in last week at State House, Nairobi by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
It is not about what Maraga said. The law does not give the president the mandate or the power to select who to select. It's not about the backlog. It's about the constitutional provision that the president in this matter is just a conveyor belt, a ceremonial. He gazettes and presides over the function of taking the oath of office.
Those that were omitted include Justice Weldon Korir, Agrim Chalule, George Odunga, Professor Joel Ngugi, Makori Evans Kiago, and Judith Omange Cheruyot. For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
For the judiciary and the judicial.
All right. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has grown from more aggressive, that is, in implementing his legacy projects, and infrastructure is one of the key things that accounts for nearly about 90% of those projects. Kenyatta has spent about 900 billion shillings on infrastructure compared to what his predecessor spent, that is about 185 billion shillings. That is retired President Mwai Kibaki, who spent during his first 7 years in office. But with an exchequer committed to fulfilling ever-growing appetite for more funds, how then do this humongous budget compare against its value? Musa Salah takes a deep look into the Kenyatta's obsession with infrastructure.
Directors contain the team.
As Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani prepares to present what could be termed as Kenya's biggest budget so far in Parliament on Thursday, the 2021-2022 budget is estimated at about 3.6 trillion shillings. Out of these, 2 trillion shillings will be proceeds of government revenues, leaving the government with a 1.6 trillion shillings deficit. And to make up for this, Yatani plans to borrow over 900 billion shillings. Kenya's ballooning debt has had a dent on the country's GDP, which according to the Central Bank of Kenya was at 1.05 trillion shillings in 2003 and rose to over 3.5 trillion shillings in 2013. However, in the last 8 years, Kenya's public debt has risen from 1.8 trillion shillings to over 9 trillion shillings, with an estimated annual budget deficit of 8%. According to the 2021-2022 Finance Bill, Yatani's National Treasury is leaving no stone unturned in its quest to satisfy the government's growing appetite for more funds, driven by President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy projects. In the last 7 years, President Kenyatta spent a cumulative 900 billion shillings on infrastructure, 715 billion shillings more than what his predecessor Mwai Kibaki spent during his first 7 years in power. Some of Kenyatta's monumental landmarks include the ambitious Lapsset Corridor project that includes a 483-kilometer road worth 150 billion shillings that is expected to traverse the counties of Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo and Meru. The link road, which intends to open up the northern Kenya, will also include part of the Lamu port, a section of which was commissioned by President Uhuru Kenyatta last month. The 3 berths, which will serve Kenya, Ethiopia and Sudan, are set to cost the taxpayer a whopping 323 billion shillings. Others are the Liwatoni floating footbridge that cost the government 1.5 billion shillings, the 86-kilometer long Kenol Marua dual carriageway estimated at 15 billion shillings, and the Nakuru-Nairobi Mau Summit Highway, a 233-kilometer contract valued at 160 billion shillings. The construction of the 540-kilometer long Mau Mau Road, expected to traverse Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri and Nyandarua counties, is valued at 30 billion shillings, while the city's skyliner, the Nairobi Expressway, linking Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the Nairobi-Limuru Highway at a cost of 65 billion shillings. The proposed finance bill seeks to give the National Treasury power over tax rates, removing the parliamentary approval obstacle in the Exchequer's attempts to fill the government's reserves. In addition to a 15% excise duty on imported motorbikes set to cripple the boda business, Yatani has also proposed a 16% VAT on bread and milk products, a move that is expected to see taxpayers dig deeper into their pockets. Musa Salah, TV47.
Now, elsewhere, transport was paralyzed in Mumias town, Kakamega County, for the better part of Monday, following demonstrations by sugarcane farmers for the 3rd day. Now, the farmers have condemned political leaders who are hindering the revival processes of the stalled sugar miller. Mike Kagungo with that report.
Mumias Town. It is the third day since protests against leaders who are allegedly hindering the revival of Mumias sugar miller, with farmers calling on the leaders to get out of the way.
Juzi nimeona viongozi kutoka mkoa wa Magharibi akiwemo Musalia, Wetangula na kijana huyo anaitwa Kilofas Malala. Musalia anapigia huyo investor, anamwambia ya kwamba ati yeye ndio kiongozi ya Western. Huyo investor anakujaja Mumias kama hajaongea na yeye. Wetangula akampigia simu, anamwambia yeye ndio kiongozi ya Western. Investor anakujaja Mumias kama hajaambia Wetangula.
Farmers want the county government of Kakamega under the stewardship of Governor Wycliffe Oparanya to hold talks with Devki Steel Mills in a bid to solve the ongoing stalemate.
Mimi tumeketi na county government ya Kakamega ikiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Wycliffe Oparanya. Na tumeambia governor aketi na Kenya Commercial Bank watuletee investor wa kufungua kampuni ya Mumias.
Tunataka kiwanda cha Mumias kifanye kazi, ndugu zetu wafanye kazi pale. Tunataka kumuonya Senator Malala. Siasa ya ukora, siasa ya utapeli, siasa ya ujanja. Tunasema shetani afanye nini?
Led by former sports CS Rashid Echesa, they castigated the leaders for politicizing the process. They have called on the leaders to stay away from the factory, saying they do not have the interest of farmers who, for a long time, have had to endure difficulties since the factory stalled.
Mukiona hawa wakina Musalia na Kilofas Malala, hakuna ukweli kati yao, kwa sababu sisi tunajua wao ni vibaraka vya West Kenya Sugar Company.
Meanwhile, hundreds of sugarcane farmers at Nzoia Sugar Company held demonstrations over delayed payment for the produce. Addressing the media outside the company's entrance, the restive farmers said they are now unable to settle their bills due to lack of funds.
Sasa mimi tunaomba hao wanasiasa akiwamo wa Munyinyi, Eugene, Hangati, Wanalala, Eugene, Wangamati. Sasa wametuachia tu, sisi tunalia kila siku.
Kuna mkulima wa 2019 hajalipwa miwa yake hapa. Kuanzia mwezi wa 10 2020 hakuna mkulima amelipwa miwa yake. Hii kampuni inaunda milioni 30 kila siku. Pesa inaenda wapi? Tukisema hivi deni ya mkulima ni milioni 700. Deni ya mfanyikazi ni bilioni 2. Hii pesa inaenda wapi?
They say the company owes them 700 million shillings accrued since 2019. However, our efforts to reach the company's managing director, Michael Wanjala Makoha, proved futile. For TV 47, I'm Mike Kagwango.
We are at that point that you have been waiting for. We get to the discussion. Interestingly, I already see some of us have already sent texts just to react to the topic of the day or the topic of discussion. Remember, we're all about this conversation on why men, underline men, why men are refusing to marry, and therefore we have some men here who will tell us whether, one, they have come of age, just what is actually this age that we speak about that, you know, would get a man thinking that, well, they are now ripe to get married, and they'll tell us why is it that they think they are worried or they are scared, or some of them are married if they are, and I mean the benefits of marriage, and therefore those who are scared about the whole scenario, then they can be got into that point where they say, you know what, let's loosen up and face it as it comes. Prince Zebediah says it's because today's women are not reliable, not ready to settle, and thus men fear heartbreak. Really, how many heartbreaks do you get before you even decide to get married? By the time you're getting married to this person, you're an experienced individual on matters heartbreaks, and therefore, I mean, what is the point? So today we seek explanations for why fewer people are getting married. Not that fewer people are getting married, more couples prefer to live together informally, known as cohabitation. And the most recent data that shows that 60% of adults are living together, either a marriage or cohabiting. without having to formalize the whole thing. The truth is that most of the women wish that men would pop up that question, will you marry me? But in most cases, you are put in this house for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down. The question is never out. If you're not put in this house, then you are dating for 5 years and he's not popped out the ring. So you ask yourself, just what is happening here? But then again, because naturally or traditionally women are not supposed to trigger that question, then you'll just have to wait there until that day he does. If he doesn't, then you meet this one person and 3 months down the line you're married and everyone is like, you just started dating, which, if you'd remember very well last week's conversation, we said courting is very important. But imagine you've stayed with someone for about 5 years, they've not popped the question, and therefore you meet this person who pops the question. I mean, will you even wait to court this person? Will you even wait to get to a point where you want to land this person? So we discussed that. Keep your comments coming. Let's get to hear what you have to say about the subject of the day. Really, really important. And the guest of the day, as always, we have the Daktaris. Before I get to introduce them, let me just introduce the other individuals that we have on the panel, or so to speak, that are joining us for this conversation. Monica Wangare, who's right here. I'm sorry, man, you just have to hold it right there so I will introduce the ladies. Monica Wangare is right there, is a youth, of course, will be telling us whether she's gotten to that point where she dated someone for 50 years and this person is not saying anything. Of course, she's not 50. And then we also have right behind Dennis Waswa, who's a youth. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you next. And there we for Martha Ngore, who's also here. Thank you so much for your time. Yeshua Kimani, who's right there at the back. And lastly, we have Collins Gagiri. He's one of our own, who's always here and trying to ask Daktaris a couple of questions. Therefore, Dr. Julius and Dr. Jane will be joining for, professional aspect of the whole conversation. And therefore, the biggest question then would be the fact that marriage rates are plummeting by the day. Dr. Jane.
Yeah. Well, of course, that is obvious. Nowadays, you discover a lot of men actually do not want to commit. And according to statistics, men are marrying older, if I may put it like this, later than they used to in the last 10 years. Yeah, that's according to statistics. You discover that there is a time when young men from campus, 1 year down the line, the next year they're having a wedding, they're marrying. But nowadays you find they're going to their late 20s, their early 30s, and they're still not in a hurry.
What is this age that would be preferable? Let's talk about one for women and for men at this time and age. We'd say, well, back then maybe even at 15, not 15, 15 is a bit too early. 15 for girls, yeah? 15 for girls, 18. Someone has already identified you, and then makes it 18. Our moms and all that, they tell you that they got married at around 16 and all that. So in this time and age, what would be the most appropriate age, one for a man and for a woman?
I think I would state age not in number of, or chronological age, but I would like to say state of life.
Okay.
You're at the state of life where you're able to take care of yourself, you're able to take care of your wife, you're able to house them, you're able to feed them. You're able to ensure that these people are safe. You're in a position yourself to give them security, because women get married for security. So you're not still insecure about issues. You're in a state where you can become the foundation of a home, and I don't really think that is workable at the age of 21, but perhaps it used to work some time back. But the competitive rate in the market today is dictating that 21 is still quote-unquote hustling. That doesn't mean that you have to marry when you're rich. You marry when you're comfortable to accommodate another person.
I hold it right there, and I'm glad you say 21, because I was almost shooting a question to you that, you could be ready at, and I mean, we've seen people who are done with school, and before you realize that they have all the money on planet Earth, and therefore these people feel like they're, capable enough to offer all these things that a woman would want. But then the aspect of maturity, that aspect of just, the well-being of you as yourself to handle a home is one thing that I always say. I mean, looking at myself at 21, at 22, at 23, at 24, and now I am a totally different person. And therefore, I don't even think I'd be able to handle marriage back then, in as much as maybe I had my few coins and I'd easily say that I can take care of my little boy and all that. So when it comes to that aspect, I mean, what then would be your ideal if we are to speak of numbers? Yes.
Of course, when you say early 20s, it can be a challenge.
Yes.
Because that person has just left the teens, and they're trying to find the direction of life. But I would say mid-20s to late 20s is an ideal age for somebody to get married. But of course, at the same time, you have got to look at the factors that are required in that marriage for you to be able to handle. As Doctor said, you have to be able to at least provide. Now, the challenge that you're having today is that when you now sit down and ask what is provision, then it becomes a different dynamic. Because provision for somebody else is that you have to have a car, you have to have a house that you are probably buying or you have almost bought.
Okay.
You have to have some money to take somebody for holidays in case December comes or even Easter. Those are some of the things that are makes it hard for some of the young men to delve or jump into marriage now.
Mother, what are your expectations when you meet this gentleman and they want to marry you? What is this one thing that you would expect from them, whether you're working or not, whether you can sustain yourself or not?
Okay, like you have said, this person has to be mature. Okay, he's ready. He is not still going to think about his past women, his relationships. He's ready to make children and protect the children, take care of the children.
How do you get to know that he's ready? What would be the truth meter that would get you thinking? And you will say
this person. Okay, you'll see. Maybe he has interest even in asking you, how many children would you like to have? You see, if you see such a person, you're like, oh, okay, I think I can give this man a baby because he's thinking of having a child, making like a family. Okay. Yeah, so...
Yeah. Men can really be good at words, Collins, and you really can craft those words. I want you to be the mother of my child. And I'm telling you, women melt when words are spoken and words are said and are mentioned. And therefore, you can easily get this person. Now, we've gotten these people who've told us, I want you to be the mother of all my children and all that. But in real sense, this person does not mean that. Oh, you need, yes, that is to you, Colin. So, do you agree with Martha that sometimes, the words, the things that you speak would probably equate to just how committed you can be as a man?
What I will say, to some extent, yes, it may be true, and to some extent, it may not be true. Okay. And as we know, there are good men out here, and there are bad men out here. So at times, you may find that women end up falling for the wrong men due to maybe they will come with the sweet words, as you have said. Yeah. So they end up sweeping them off their feet. Yes. Okay, well, this is directed to you. Please do not read it as a tribalism or something. There's a time I was having a conversation with this guy, and he tells me, what wanaogopa wasichana Waluhya kwa sababu hao wanakujanga na ile mentality ya kutaka kuolewa, and then men are like, hawa wako too serious, like they come, crafted and ready to be a wife. And really, men do not want that, especially when you're out there and you're showing that, yes, I'm ready and all that. It appears like that one gets a man, like it's more of a turn off for a man. What would you say about that?
Agree with you. Men don't like, most men don't like those women who are too available for them. Okay. At least men like struggling for something. Okay. So make this man feel like he's chasing something. Yeah, don't just present yourself on a silver platter. Okay. Yeah.
Why do I want to challenge that? Why do I want to challenge that? Because that probably was the case back then. That is still the case for individuals who have not been able to, make something for themselves. But nowadays we have these men, and they have something for themselves. Someone has money, has everything, and therefore they expect that the car that they're driving will sell them to you, and therefore they don't even want to struggle and expect akikuja tu amedrive hiyo gari, you just say yes without having to be told that nini. And therefore, if you dilly-dally, there are a couple of other women who want them out there, and so therefore proceed aende mali pengine.
This is what I will say. There are women who are never swayed by materials. They are swayed.
How many are they today? How many are they today? Yes, speak for me.
Wacha nimsaidia. About the issue of men, about wale wanakuja na magari trying to sweep off women. This is a reality out here. a lot of women wale wa siku hizi, they're so materialistic.
Okay.
Bali ukatae. That is the reality.
What is the problem with being materialistic, honestly?
You see, the issue is, okay, the issue is, see vibaya kupenda pesa. The issue is, you prioritize money over morals.
Okay.
So whenever you see a man driving a V8, ananiweza. Financially, nini. And then later on, mtana kulilia huko mbele. Then you start coming out social media saying all men are bad.
Okay.
You women are the same people who go and say out there, heri tulilia kwa Range Rover, kuliko tulilia kwa Probox. Hii Probox alikuwa kutreat vizuri. Hajafika financially vizuri kwenye ungetaka afike.
Atafika lini? Monique, you better take the microphone and help me out on this, because I don't want to appear as though I am defending the women out here. But I mean, honestly, don't you want this man who has something at least for themselves? And I mean, what is the worst that can happen if you were to go there na ulilie kwa Range Rover as opposed to go there na ulilie tena kwa Probox? Hata labda hakuna hiyo Probox.
You know, basically it goes back to a man's commitment, because a man that is fronting his money to you, he's looking for a trophy wife, not for a wife. He wants a lady he wants to show off. Not it's an issue of commitment when it comes to you want my money.
Okay.
And then guys have this issue when you like him because of his money, he thinks you've seen him as his savior.
Okay.
Like he's here to deliver you from your hardship, you know? And so, not every man will come and they appreciate the fact you like them for their money.
All right.
You understand? And in this age, even women are working as hard as
men are, honestly.
Men are working.
Yeah.
So, someone thinking you like them when they're poor, why? And I'm working myself to have my own Range Rover. Yeah, have it.
Okay.
I have my own. Have your own.
That's nice.
Yes.
Kimani, what do you say? Because honestly, I mean, you don't also want to just get a woman into this sad space, honestly. At least you want to pride in the fact that, yes, you can provide and all that. And even when she comes as a package, in the sense that she's able to provide as well, or get herself a Range Rover, makes it even better.
Yes, I do believe that men should be the leaders in the home. Right.
Yes.
We should be ahead financially. That's a thing. And we should be ambitious to be ahead.
What if you're not? What if you're not? Because the situations of life today, you know, puts us to scenarios where it is the woman who has more in the house. What happens if you do not?
Now, there are situations where the woman has more in the house, and these situations are actually crazy, because you'll find that the woman will undermine the man or such situations. You know, I do believe that jikuno jipatapo.
Ufikapo. Well, makes sense.
Jikuno jipatapo. I mean, I can't drive a Range Rover if my feet can't reach the pedals, you know. Yes. I would go for someone that I know I will be able to manage.
Okay.
It will come out in a fight. The parents will tell her that, you know, this guy is not your age, he's not your class. You
right.
know, work on your class.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Is there always someone in your space and your class? Because, I mean, if this girl who comes from a rich family is the girl that your heart so desires, so you decide to just overlook them just because you're not able to maintain them, you're not able to reach their standards?
Let me say this, as has been rightly mentioned, there are very many ladies and also men, if I may put it so, who are from very well-to-do families, but they're not married to their wealth. You know, you can have money and money can have you.
Okay.
So these are people who perhaps have money, but money does not have them. So these are people who know what I'm looking for is character. What I'm looking for is a person who can be a friend, number one. I'm looking for a person who is stable. I'm not looking for money, I'm looking for a person. You know, we're in a generation where a lot of things are underlined by the word money, and at times it's not that young girl. At times it's not even that young man. At times it's the parents. When it comes to matters class, it all begins from the parents. Because a young girl in campus will meet just a young man, you know, and they are okay. They live somewhere where there are no trees outside, you know, not in the leafy estates. And this girl loves this man and is ready to start and begin. Because possibly she's heard stories of how their mom and dad started down and they've climbed up. But most of the problem now comes from the parents who feel like, we want to go to a society wedding. We want you to be married to a society man, a man from the who is whose, a man whose family has a definition. So I believe at this point is where a woman says, I'm of age to make my own decision, And if it is so and so I have loved, that is it. Vice versa also the man.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we even expound on that conversation, maybe just to ask you, Daktari, why is it that men resist marriage today, even though statistics show that they benefit the most out of marriage? Is it, I mean, don't they? Don't they? Tell us if, I mean, let's be honest.
They benefit.
What do you think? Before you even finish, or you say anything about that, Dr. Jane, I am back to you. I think that men benefit the most.
Let me tell you what they gain from marriage. They get a free cook.
Yes.
A launderer for the clothes.
Yes.
They also get a doctor.
Yes.
Because a man, the moment he's married, suddenly a small flu
it is you to
like,
figure out.
You've got to keep rushing with ginger, lemon, and everything. So, and then they also get a mother status from your wife because atakukumbusha vaa sweater. You know, even while they're still much. So really, and then another thing, they get somebody to ensure that the house is clean, to ensure that his other needs are met. They get a person to ensure that the society now calls him blessed. You know, the society calls him now a man. This person benefits from the marriage by being called a father. He was not being called a father. Status have changed. All right? So I believe as much as everybody benefits, the status of the man skyrockets.
Well, they skyrocket for sure. I mean, how can you challenge that? To make it even better, when you get a woman who's out there as well, hustling as much as you are, then they also bring the money that you keep speaking about or talking about on the table.
You see, the reality is, a man is supposed to benefit.
Okay.
Benefit. Because God created a man. Then he looked at him and he was like, this man needs some benefits.
All right.
When he's alone, there are some things he's missing out.
Okay.
So he needs help, a helper.
Okay.
And so immediately he created a woman. And of course, the woman, she has said, comes as a doctor and all that thing. But there is one thing that we also got to realize. The most, what we are talking about is ideal for the men and the women who are in their 60s and their 70s. That used to happen very well. Some who are in their 50s. But now come to the current generation that is trying to marry. I'm telling you now, the roles have reversed. You are supposed to be the cook. You are supposed to be the guy who is cleaning the house.
Okay.
The roles, I mean, it has to be 50-50. A lady comes and tells you I'm earning. Hata wewe unaweza fanya hii kazi.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair, daktari.
Tunaendelea kuwa fair.
Okay.
So ninasema roles have changed.
All right.
And that is why guys have found themselves in a strange place. Because you have grown up not cleaning the house.
You know, even the birds have realized that you're being unfair to the girl.
No, you hear those words.
And you are free to come in, by the way. You are free to come in. Yes.
You see the birds what they are saying?
Yes.
Actually, they're encouraging men to marry.
Okay, all right.
Please, I
hope it is so. All right.
They're saying, it's because the guys are afraid of marrying. Okay. So the thing is, men have found themselves in a strange place where they were not raised up being told, clean the house, do the dappers, cook the food, do all these things. So they have to learn. And by the time they are learning, the lady is frustrated.
Okay.
Because probably she's like, my other friends are going through the same thing. And we need a man who can be able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So before the guy steps up 100% to get into that role, you find already there are problems in the marriage.
All right. Kolo, I know you're not married, but are there times where you get difficulties of thinking of, what your wife would be like, what your woman would be like, what it would be like for you being a husband, with this mentality that women are always here, for material things?
Okay, personally, I'm not the kind of person who believes in marriage does not work. It actually works.
Okay.
I'm from a background that I've seen it working. But the issue is, we're in a different generation, and with the different generation comes the different mentalities and all sort kind of things. So the issue is about the kind of wife I'll need. It's not about gone are those days where I used to judge a woman by how she cleans, how she cooks, basically the house chores, Nowadays it's all about what you are bringing to the table.
Wow.
I can cook, I can also cook for myself.
Okay.
I cook for myself.
All right.
I wash clothes for myself.
Okay.
Nikiwa mgonjwa najipeleka hospitali. So basically it's what you are bringing to the table.
In terms of what?
Spiritual intelligence.
All right.
Financial intelligence.
Okay. Why is it that it should be her bringing all this?
You know, it's not.
Okay, what we are coming together on the table with?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not about the reason as to why I'm saying it's all about what you're bringing to the table ni kwa sababu we have what is the right words to use, a group of women who as in wamezoea kupewa, you understand, hawajui kutafuta.
Right.
I'm not saying all women, I'm saying
it's
some.
a group. You just
a group, not all, don't get me wrong.
All right.
Ulikuwa nimeze. It's a group of women. It's a group of women whereby wamezoea kupatiwa sponsors and sort. And you see the issue is, so unapata for example like as the young men unapata sponsor ametuharibia market kabisa.
So why blame the lady? Why blame the women? Yet it is the sponsors, fellow men, that are messing the market for you.
Nani?
Why should the blame be squared on the lady as opposed to the sponsors who spoiled the market for you?
It's not about the men.
Mukienda conference new ongea nini? Men's conference.
Tuongea tuheshimu bibi zetu. Be the man who step up and be the man.
Sponsors waache hizo mambo.
Masponyo nao wasikii bana.
Okay. You know, I also have something to ask, and I agree with what you're saying. But the percentage of ladies who are being sponsored, you know, at times when one finger or one's place is sore, the whole body or the whole hand aches, isn't it?
Yes.
But it is only one very small percentage of the whole hand. And that is the same thing. So the ladies who are being sponsored, actually the percentage is very small. Out of 100 women, you will find 8%. Do research. 8%. But the thing is, they are so loud because it's like a new move. It's a new move that there are ladies who are being sponsored, and so it has filled the air. But there are so many ladies at the same token who are working hard, who are diligent. They bought themselves small cars. Pengine wako na kaduka ka kiosk. When you see them with those kiosks, all the men say this is by a sponsor. Not all of them are by a sponsor. Some of them are from very hard working.
I know, and that is why I said a group of not
porridge.
all. Let me ask. I want to ask the fellow women here. Let's
Martha, be ready to answer that.
Nataka watu wanijibu hii swali. Umepata na mwanaume akona pesa, si ndio? Anakuwekele mesho unataka. Maybe 5 years down the line or whatever years down the line, aanguke. How many of you will be able to stick with him mpaka mwisho mpaka aweze kupata?
Women don't go back socially. I agree with you somehow.
How many?
And that's I agree. Women don't go back socially. So kama tuko hapa either tunapanda.
And that is what the problem is. And that is what the problem.
Martha, let Martha respond to that.
So it depends with the woman. The way if this woman chose to be with you to death, do your part. Why not escape when you are down, when you're fallen, when you are now useless? She should be there with you.
But that is the narrative we see today.
No, without
let's be honest, Kolo. You know, you people are pushing me to a level where I'm supposed to argue with Kolo, yet you're the people who are supposed to argue with Kolo. Honestly, Kolo, let me tell you, why should you go for less if you can go for more?
Okay, so the point is, okay, I want you to understand.
And remember, kuna Ben 10, so even as we speak about the sponios and all that, remember there are Ben 10s also.
See, you kuwezi linganisha the number of Ben 10s and the number of...
It's because, patia microphone. Kolo.
Wacha niongea alafu niwapatie waongee. Wait. Ukieka Ben 10s hapa, the group of Ben 10s, na uweke the group of women who have sponsors all over, you cannot compare. Group ya Ben 10s ni kidogo sana kulinganisha na wasichana.
Population ya women versus all right,
do you know the percentage of Ben 10s in universities?
Okay.
You cannot ulezi linganisha na.
So how does that stop you from getting married? All right.
That cannot stop you from getting married.
Let me tell you what is happening basically.
Okay.
Men are meant to be providers.
That I know.
The Ben 10s are people who are so frustrated for not stepping up to provide for a woman. So they opted the easy way out.
Okay.
The reason why women are going for sponsors is because we are looking for someone. You're supposed to be a provider. And you'll find out if like you married me and you've been rich for 5 years, a wise woman will invest with you.
Yes.
Going down will never be
Yes,
possible.
yes.
You understand? Going down will never be topic on the table. You understand? Because as we are wise, we are in chamas, we are, we will invest with you. So when you're down, we'll step up. But you see, there's this conflict. You want us to submit, yet be providers. There's confliction.
Yes.
So when it is a turn off when a man asks a woman for money.
It's a turn off.
On any
I agree.
setup, it's a turn off.
I agree also. I agree.
When
But
a man asks a woman, you understand?
I love
So
it.
a man needs to package himself to basically provide, pay the house, be making those moves. When you're making those moves and all I have to do is nikuje naka shopping to matunda kwa nyumba, tumanguo toa watoto. You see, submission becomes easy. But when you want me, that was say, Pastor Julius was saying, I'm supposed to clean, I did not see that coming. Even me, I did not see my mother providing. I did not see.
Yes, so we should match up.
I did not see.
Yes.
Now I'm here providing, so I'm even respecting becomes very hard.
It becomes very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remind him that, we are bringing as much as on the table.
I need to honor you because,
whether I have my own or not.
Yes.
Pay for school fees. Pay for rent.
And no one has said women to provide.
All right, let's hear what Tuaso has to say.
Okay, I just want to say something. For me, I will ask ladies, what was your intention before you came into this union or marriage? Did you ask the right questions financially? Did you analyze the capacity of your man?
Okay.
Yeah. Did you know the plans that he has for the next maybe 5 years? How your future will look like?
Okay.
Yeah. Once you ask those questions,
right,
and the guy provides the right answers, then you can move into a union with him.
That's our biggest question today. That when women ask all those questions, men run away.
Genuine. And
when they're not genuine, or they run away.
So when the questions were answered right, after maybe 5 years and the man is not able to provide the same way he used to do.
Divorce.
No, you should not divorce. Because we all go back to the foundation.
Okay.
What was the reason why you people came together? Yeah. If it was for the right reasons, whether the man has lost his job or his source of income, it will just continue. And I know this one will be challenged, but the woman's money and the man's money put together should be termed as our money.
Mine is mine, yours is ours.
That one is
never forget that. For peace of the family. Yours is ours, mine is mine.
And the most interesting thing, and maybe before we come to you, Kim, the most interesting thing, and probably you'll bear me witness, is that in as much as we always say that mine is mine and yours is ours, in most cases you find that women will spend all their money that they have.
They spend beyond what they have.
Exactly.
Actually, women will spend beyond what they have because there's some small things you won't keep telling the man. Like, for example, you've passed somewhere and you've got small children. Mtu wa mtumba amepita. And that jacket is right for the weather. No, you won't keep calling him, kindly send me 200. The only 200 you are saving goes away. And I will say this. Yes, if only people would be, it is ideal for money to be married. It is very ideal for money to be married. Because we say whatever is married, huwa inazaa. Lakini there should be a portion of what is married. And a portion of what is mine. You get what I'm saying? Right. That if I choose, I'm going to buy a shoe, one pair. And there's a portion that is yours. What is lacking, if I may put this in order, is vision and planning in relationships before you get married. Dennis talked about asking the hard question. Yes, when you ask the hard questions financially, the man, I said, number one, should have been prepared for this woman, even financially. However, there is need for planning where you can say, in the next 5 years, this is what you are planning to do. But that should not be by draining the wife or by draining, it should be mutual. But there should also be, this percentage of money is for the children, this percentage is for the development program. The rest of this percentage, take this amount, and of course, if you're godly people, you know what to do with it. And then when you take your amount, do what you want. If you want to go out with your friends, have fun, now that's okay. The ladies can go for swimming, it's okay. But what I think is lacking is planning.
Okay.
And another thing is that most men, because they're afraid of their sponsors, are stepping up on the wrong foot to impress a lady. They take a loan, you borrow what you don't have to please the person you think will get impressed with you. And you know what? You cannot live on madeni forever. So they step into marriage believing that you're going to take care of them, the 100,000 shillings way per month you used to, and now the bank is demanding back money from you. And from your salary of 15,000, because you impressed her with a loan.
Okay.
I think if men started from the truth, a woman would be able to handle and know, this is me, this is us.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why as a man you should tell the lady exactly who you are, what you earn and everything. If she's yours, she will stay. If she's not yours,
how many men talk of their salaries?
That's the question. That's the biggest question. Kim Jr., not Kim Senior. Kim Jr., looking around, and we speak of scenarios where, you know, marriages today, I mean, the cases of divorce are on the rise as well. Especially at this time of the pandemic. And, you know, cases of instability in marriage also on the rise. Cases of, you know, struggles in marriage equally on the rise. When you look at all these scenarios, do you get scared of committing?
To a point, yes. To a point, no.
Okay.
The reason, yes, is because I'm looking at what if I fail?
Yeah.
What if I fail? The reason, no, is because I know that my background did not fail. My parents don't feel, they went through the hard times. And that's why I come to put it this way, that we've come to a point where we categorize love as a feeling, and I don't believe it's a feeling. Okay. It's a commitment. If love was a feeling, then my parents would have broken up after their first fight, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it scares me sometimes, but as the man that I am, men are wired to be fighters.
All right.
You see. And I am wired to fight whatever it is that's become my way.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, how do you deal with the fears? Because the what ifs are very many. I'll tell you, not even for men alone, even for the women, there's always that fear of the unknown, that what if it doesn't work? The shame, the troubles, the struggles, what happens to the kids if we're not able to take them to school? How do you deal with this so that you can overcome that to go to the next level?
You see, one thing, you have to come to a place of acceptance that you have the fears. And a big number of men do not want to accept their fears because that is like a sign of a weakness. But if you're able to confront your fears and accept your fears, then look for help for those fears and talk to people who have probably gone through some issues and how they overcame.
Right.
Then you're able to know that I can be able to make it or I will not be able to make it. It's just like business. Marriage is just like a business. If you speak to guys, if you go to speak to guys who have failed in business, they will never tell you on how to succeed.
Okay.
But if you speak to guys who have made it in business, they will tell you the pitfalls, they will tell you what to avoid, they will tell you how to make the money and how to come out of a big challenge.
Okay.
And so that is what we are lacking. We are lacking mentorship, especially when it comes to men. We are lacking mentorship where a man can go to another man and just as, you know, there are times you will sit and maybe with an older man, and maybe you've had a challenge in there, and he says, you know, even my wife has gone through that. She will sometimes sulk for a week. So just relax. The moment he has told you that, you are able to handle that. Probably there's a sulking during that week or during her issues, and you are like to hold through that period.
All right.
But what we are lacking today is, one, young men who are asking questions. They want to hang around the same. And if they hang around the same, the information they end up getting is not the right information.
Yeah.
They'll be probably told, we wachana huo dem. Ama wacha kuoa. Kama ameshaanza kusema lazima kuwe na gari, wachana naye kuoa. Instead of asking a guy who has a car now, what do I do when a lady is asking this kind of a question? So we have to face our fears. Even the ladies. Ladies also need to face their fears. They have seen probably their mothers fail. Now don't go back to your mother if your mom is a single person and she went through a hard place. It may be good to ask some questions from her But if you want to succeed in marriage, then go to a woman who is already succeeding today. Not that you despise your mom, but go to a woman who is already succeeding and ask her, what is it that you have crossed this barrier? You have stayed in marriage for 20 years. What did you do? Because the woman who is not married will tell you, wewe usifanye hivi na hivi, mimi nilifanya hivi na hivi na hivi, ndio marriage yangu haikufanya kazi. But the other one will tell you, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is when my marriage is working.
Incredible. How much guidance, counseling is at our disposal today? How many times do you go around, asking, people on just how they're able to manage their marriages apart from church and all? I mean, I'll tell you for free, I don't think I was lucky enough to get that apart from the sessions that I once held, on TV. If I wasn't lucky to have done that, then maybe, just maybe, I don't even think my mom would sit me down to talk matters marriage before I came to her and told her that, this time around I'm actually serious. Sometimes you actually are forced to get, pregnant so that she knows, what, actually she is getting married. Martha, it's to you.
Okay, most of the time we find it hard to just walk into marriage because we get to a point, you ask yourself, am I going to be taken care of? Is this man going to provide for me? Is this man going to be there for me? Is he going to hear me out as a wife? So tunakuwa na uoga. We get fears a lot of times to that point because if you're imagining maybe this man, his background, he was a drunkard, a wife beater. Is he going to beat me? Is he going to reach to a point where he wants to say, I don't know why I married you, I regret why I married you. So you get scared, and maybe at some point you can hear your neighbors. Where we stay, sometimes you can feel, here people fighting hapo nje, they are fighting, toka. So you're like, if I get married myself, is it going to work? So you also get scared. Yeah, as much as you want to be there with a man who will, you want to grow old with, but you still get to be scared. Yeah.
All right, Monique, do we have a society, watching out on our behalf? Do we have women who've managed to hold their marriages together? And even those who have not managed, because sometimes it's not actually by choice. Do they speak to the girls? Do they equip the girls with what it is that they expect? Because even at that day of the wedding, there's probably nobody who's going to tell you. In fact, those who are considered to be the individuals who are supposed to tell you about what to expect, those are your aunties. They come there for the lesos and the monies and everything. They forget the most important role that they're supposed to play.
Mostly, especially the generation that have been there in marriages, our experiences with them is not the same. So you find we are not hard as a lady.
Right.
Understand? My fears have been two. I've observed and I've learned a man projects to your kids what he feels about you.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes,
they project however they feel about you, that's what they will project to your kids. And communicating that to another woman to communicate, because you really have to be compatible. This person has to really choose you. You understand? So I might come to like Dr. Jane. She'll advise me, but if I choose the wrong man, those fears, I will live with them. Then we go back to, you don't want to go for money. Then you go for a guy that is not so baked. If you are baked more than this guy, he look for a small girl that he can feel a man to. You understand?
Yes.
When he feels threatened,
all right, he goes to this.
Yeah, he will look for someone. When he enters in that house, all right, he feels like a man. Yeah. You understand? So communicating that, it becomes hard for us.
How do we get these people to speak? How do we get them to overlook their fears? Sometimes it's shameful to even speak about this person that you're dating. Maybe you feel like they're not up to par. Maybe, well, what will Dr. Jane think about? How do we get them being, to that level where it's warm enough for them to speak out?
Yeah, okay. You might perhaps as a counselor, number one, you approach them as a friend. Yeah. Not as a mother, as a friend. And you develop a friendship that brings trust. And when there is trust, the person is able to open up and encourage them to know that they're not being judged. And I think parents also need to step up on this one. let them know that they're not being judged. Because today, for example, a lady will say, I'm getting married to a man from a different tribe. You're already so afraid because you're afraid of the repercussions. Or perhaps you're of a certain academic status, and you have met this gentleman, your heart loves so much, and he just went up to 4th form, and perhaps didn't do too well, but he's working well wherever he is. But the pride of these parents is, you have got a master's. And this guy, amesoma mpaka wapi? Ati? No, you see where shame comes in?
Yeah.
That's where shame comes in. Or perhaps this is a man who has had a past. Or even a lady who has had a past.
Yeah.
And especially talking about ladies perhaps who have been blessed with a child before. And now you're going to, the guy is going to tell the mother, you know what, I've met this lady and I love her, but akona watoto wawili. You get, he is also afraid of how will the community, the society take me. And that's why I first say, believe in yourself, believe in your vision. Believe in your vision. When you believe in your vision, nothing will be too big. There'll be no mountain, there'll be no valley. And you'll be able to decipher, who do I hear and who do I not hear?
Okay.
What do I pick and what do I drop? Who do I share with and who do I not share with? And you'll be able to align yourself with the reality that this is the kind of a person I'll pick for myself.
Okay.
And I am convinced and persuaded this is the right one despite the shame.
You know, sometimes even when as a man you tell your mom that she's learned than me, she's like, hata kukula akili huyo. Well, I mean, hata kukula akili. So we take a short break and then we come back on that very note. I'll ask the gentlemen, what does it take for them to go out there and ask these questions and, you know, have that man talk and get guidance on the same after this break.
At Global Precast Panels, we have the best quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient four-story buildings, schools, offices, residential houses, hospitals, and warehouses. Take advantage of our free transport. Contact us on 0702 24 7267 or 0796 24 7267. Global Precast Panels Limited, your reliable option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas. What's missing is the will to execute them.
You need to stay relevant. If you don't, you're going to fade off.
Yes, they are a dime in a dozen, but the real meat on these bones comes from trying to realize them.
You just need to perfect anything. If it's drawing, if it's music, pursue it 100% because it's something that is giving back.
Join me, Violet Njoki, as I tell you the stories of these executed ideas, because yours could be next. Mondays, 7:30 p.m.
Hey, now that's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, playfulness is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? We add color to everything, to every day and every dish, because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, color every moment.
Well, the speaker is neither here nor there.
I should have done my outro from here.
Yes, no.
And we're just like that. I look beautiful.
Tune in to Morning Cafe, Mondays to Fridays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, Linda Alela, only on TV47, the home of Untold Stories. All right, still with me, Dr. Jane and Julius, the Kimanis, we call them. And we have some ladies and gentlemen here who are helping us, you know, having this conversation that is really crucial because we need to get to that point. And we'll speak of the action plan. How do we get ourselves to back then when, you know, men really were excited about marriage and all that, which is contrary to what happens today. And still with us again, Martha Gore, who's also here with us this morning. And we also have Monique Wangari. Thank you so much for your time. And we have Kolu, I call him one of our own, Collins Kagiri, who's also with us this morning, Yeshua Kimani, and lastly we have Dennis Waswa. We're on that point where we ask ourselves, then how do we get the men to speak? Very, very important that the men speak, because remember the subject of the day, why is it that men are afraid of getting married? So going back to the gentleman, Waswa, do you ever get to that space where you say, you know, it's man talk? I think I'm almost ripe for marriage, or even if I am not ripe, I mean, at some point in time, I will be. So you get the privilege, the advantage, or the courage to go out there and, you know, engage fellow men just to know what it takes to prepare yourself for marriage.
Okay. First of all, I do have mentors. Some of them are on the set there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do talk to men who have made it in marriage. I asked what they went through, what I should do perhaps better so that I can also have a stable marriage.
Yeah.
I can also get, or rather I do also get mentorship from reading books, watching inspirational messages from YouTube, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, so the mentorship is out there, but you have to look for it. Yeah, because in our generation nowadays, most of us are on social media most of the time.
Okay.
And because social media most of the time, hautapata the right kind of mentorship most of the time. Because huko ndo utapata the so-called wale wana glorify kukua independent, unaona wana glorify ladies kukua independent ladies, they can provide for themselves, the so-called celebs and so on.
Do it right, make your marriage work, and also glorify the fact that marriage works.
Okay, you can do that, but again,
like you.
Hey, go out there, marry, glorify marriage, so at least we all can see that marriage works actually.
Do you follow me on Facebook?
I will follow you.
I do.
That's good. That is good. Let's pick some feedback here from the people who are watching. Timothy Edward Ntanda says, value addition is very important. Most women are looking for sponsors. And most importantly, ladies are entitled. No one wants to marry an entitled woman. You were saying true, and I was like, what are you saying true to?
Adding value. About adding value.
Okay.
And it should. And I was hoping he was talking like what we call an aside on the wall, where you speak for both. That the man needs to add value, the woman needs to add value. People need to get into marriage looking at it this way. I want to add value to you. You also add value to me. That is what you call growth.
Okay.
Especially money.
All right.
Value no, she said something.
Okay.
In
fact, somebody said, entitlement. Listen to those ladies there. Just listen to those ladies.
Let me say this. It is, we're just, you know, we are looking at the reality of life. She said, man's money, our money.
Yes.
Ladies' money,
ladies'
money.
Yes.
So the thing is, and that's what is scaring men outside there.
Because at the end of the day, you want to reach a place where you know that you will be assisted. If you have a project, your wife will also step in to help in that project.
Okay.
If she's not helping you in the project, then what is the aspect of helping? And you get, wait a minute.
Thank
You see, that's the essence. Then that's why then...
Go out there and get alone. Go out there and get alone.
We will marry. That's why the guys then, we will marry the bank.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, unapata, the guys, maybe your wife has the money, but you're not coming together.
Okay.
So what is the essence of that partnership, of that marriage? Haisaidii kwa sababu you have not combined together to become one thing.
Okay.
And eventually you find people grow apart. There is a growth of a difference because you realize it's just like a partner. You come in together, kesho naenda project yako. If I get this guy and we partner with him and he goes and does his own business, tomorrow I have no connection emotionally with him. But the reason why there is an emotional connection with your wife is because there is something that she's inputting in you and there is something that you're putting into her. But you see what has happened now is that people have gotten that notion that a man has only, we've looked at one aspect of provision, money, not realizing that if I sit here as a man today, that there is more that I'm providing. There is a cover. One thing, talk to women here in this nation. There are women who have realized that a drunkard guy who used to come at midnight, kanalala tufua, the day kalikufa. That is when she realized kumbe aka ndiye kalikuwa to protect ila tusinyang'anywe. Unajua kakisimama pale kwa wewe wacha naishi mbaya. Bibi yangu huko. Unapata there is safety. But now women have overlooked that aspect of there is a protection that comes that may not be seen. Those children, there are times women have run and they said my kids have gone in discipline. The guy may not have the money. But there is something he says, sitaki ushenzi kwa hii nyumba. Anaambia watoto, msicheze na mama yenu. Suddenly there is order. You are shouting from morning to evening. Nothing is changing. A man comes in and just looks at the sun. Anaambia that I will not tolerate. Because there is an aspect of discipline that has been put by a man. So there is provision beyond money. And that is what, apart from, we have to, as a woman, look beyond that thing of just having the money or having the ring, because we have made it too big.
Okay.
That the money factor has been made too big. But if we look at some other things that a man can be able to provide that are not seen, just like our God, he doesn't just come in and say money. He heals us. We don't see it, but we know there is a value that he's adding. So we need to look at, and what she said is that ask yourself, as a woman, what am I getting into that man's life to add? As a man, what am I getting into that woman's life to add? If you're not going to add anything, wacha kuoa ama wacha kuolewa.
I totally agree, but I want to say this on the behalf of so many women of this nation. A woman is ready even to die for their marriage and for visions and for everything if there is no external interference.
That's true. And in most cases,
women are super territorial. Underline the word territorial. They want to keep their territory. But when the moment the man breaks the territory, or the woman vice versa, because it's happening in so many ways, where a woman is so, is so broken up because of her family of origin, and especially when the man, through the family of origin, comes and begins to break into the vision, most women will either fight or flee. And this is what I want to tell the young men here who are getting married. It is good to understand that the good book says a man shall live. Because the underlying factor where you find a lot of women afraid even to invest with this man is because perhaps they did it before and they saw how it went. So I want to say this one thing. When a woman is secure with a man, make her feel secure. Make her understand it is for you. It is, I am here for you. Nothing will change, and fight the territorial battles that may come from in-laws and by-laws. And when you are able to fight for the battles that come by in-laws and by-laws, then the woman is able to know, I'm here, nimekalia na yote mawili.
That's true.
Tuko pamoja. And when a woman gets to that level, she will get you from walking to a bicycle, from a bicycle to a nduthi, from a nduthi to a gari. Let me tell you, that is how women are wired. But woman will do that when she feels, I'm in my place, nimekanyaga na yote mawili, nobody can tunya me my home. But when there is a call that she's not understanding, and I'm also talking this as a counselor, because a lot of insecurities of women could now not even be the in-laws. It could be the fact that there are some phone calls that come, huyu mtu anachukulia kwa choo. Na akichukulia kwa choo, hata kwa bafu, anaweka na simu kwa kanylon, juala. Juala zilisha, batio yake bado iko. Isimwagikiwe na maji. In case peradventure you touch that phone, what does that make a woman feel? Insecure. If you can make a woman know you are the only one and nobody else but you, that woman will lift you, because women have got a potential and a divine ability in them. Even when you read the good book in Proverbs 31, she's able to lift you up. Another reason why these women are getting worried is because nowadays we are having a generation that is glorifying the lower end other than the upper end. And you see a man driving, and when a woman with a lower end passes, kio hata hikio gari imegongwa upande. Kila wakati gari inagongwa upande cause alikuwa anaangalia na macho akafuata akajipata kwa mtaro. Every time ni ile inaitwa follow up ministry. Huyu ameenda amebeba nini? Huyu ameenda inakaa kama amebeba. Unaangalia ati anajifanya ni hizi magari anaangalia. I'm talking generally, I'm not talking specifically. Anajifanya ni hizi anaangalia magari. Oh, najua tu. Anaangalia chenyewe amebeba. And you are thinking,
Dr. Jane, in defense of the men, that is how they are wired.
By who and by what?
Okay. How then do you angalia, admire, appreciate without?
Men are visual beings, right from birth.
Be visual to your wife.
Visual beings.
Okay.
Kuangalia nitaangalia doesn't mean because I'm married to her.
Na sasa tukiangalia vibeti za wengine.
Na unakaa vizuri. The point is, you also look at men, okay, anakaa vizuri, but the point is, kutoka hapo, what next is what matters. Kuangalia tutaangalia, that is men. Men are visual beings.
Let me tell you, I've just opened to you a truth from the heart of a woman.
And I'm also opening to you from the heart of a man.
And that is why you find men are complaining that women are not investing with them, because you may look at a woman who has what you have been looking for and you disappear and you go with the very car we struggle together to buy is the one in Abeba Uyo, and the only thing mama anafanya is to cast morning to night.
That is not a good man.
That is
not a
good man.
I am a man who follow.
See,
just like I have said, men are visual beings. Kuangalia tutaangalia. But what happens after that is what matters.
Kolo, I hope your wife to be is not listening.
I hope she listens, by the way. I hope she listens. And I'm not afraid to say that.
What I would say, before Monique says it, you know one thing, I think women also need to reach a place whereby you deal with insecurity, because it is not about wait a minute. I'm just saying women have to deal with insecurity, because I wonder how every look is interpreted as a look of maybe the bottoms or the tops. No, I'm just saying.
We are wired to know them.
You, that is the challenge you have. But do you know there are times, and I will say this because I've sat, unapata jamaa anakuja kuambia counseling, my wife is complaining of this. And there are times I'm looking, that time a guy is saying, I'm looking at one place, and I'm not even thinking of anything. You know, men have got those empty moments where they are hanging around. Number two, wacha niseme hivi. Number two, Jesus, hata Jesus, wacha niseme. Hata Jesus alisema, wacha tuongee ukweli. Unajua saa zingine, kwani hizi macho watu walipewa za nini? Jesus alisema kitu moja. When you look at a woman lustfully, you have committed adultery.
Yes.
Now, does that mean that every look that now, Monique, I'm looking at you, that it is now you find somebody, if you have a boyfriend, now that boyfriend who is looking at that particular, every interpretation is that anytime you look at a woman, it's about bottoms and whatever. Now the challenge is that is what will keep on eating women, that will keep on hurting women, because you are living in the man's mind forever instead of being comfortable of who you are. I will say this, there is nothing as beautiful as a woman who has confidence, a woman who knows that what I carry is valuable, that man will focus on her always.
All right, Monique.
Hallelujah.
This is the thing. Women are wise investors. If you see a bank that is shaky, you not invest your money there.
Yeah.
You understand? And you see with men, when you marry a woman, ukishampatia watoto watatu, ushajiambia this woman, her focus is the kids.
Yes.
Hana time ya sijui nini. Hata ukimbaia gari, mukiinvest naye kwa gari, chances ni watoto wake atabeba. Mukinunua nyumba naye, chances ni watoto wako wataishi hapo. But a man can walk out even 8 kids later.
Yeah,
that's
true.
You understand? A man will walk out. So, how do we know? You as a man, you are committed, as you want us to invest with you, and I want that security. How do you give me that security to know we are in this? Because you guys, you can walk out, Dr. Julius, you can walk out, nobody sees you have a kid or you have ever married. You will find a 26 years old
Even
girl,
22.
umuingize box, na umuoe. You know, whereas your wife, akienda penye nenda, watoto wake lazima wafuatane na yeye, lazima aka-explain to the other man, I am coming with this. Can you accept it or not?
Yes.
But you guys, you can just walk out. Yet you want us to just walk in, throw money, buy land together, build together. You have seen women on news. I have seen a woman losing it because they invested with a man, and the man chases her out, brings another woman. How do you know the good one or the bad one?
No, we have to.
What are the marks of
Ladies and
good
gentlemen, we have to come
bad?
to a close. Action plan. And I know that I'll go back to you, Kim. Kim says very well that he's in 50-50, you know, scenarios where he's scared, but at the same time he's hopeful. I would want to assume that every other individual has that inner hope on marriage. They'd wish to get married at some point in time. They would wish to keep that marriage. They'd wish to have it work in as much as their fears. So how do we have this shift and go back to the days that they speak about, that back then it was a different thing. Men would pride in that, would get even 2, 3, 4, 5 wives because they believe that marriage, you know, works. Today, the man of today does not even want one wife, let alone 2, 3, and 4. So how do we get that shift? What would be your request to the people who understand, you know, the union of marriage, that we can help the young tucks, the men out there, to shift their minds and start looking at marriage as something that is good?
Thank you. First of all, I do believe that old is good. The old values of marriage will still remain to be the original values of marriage.
Okay.
Now today money has been made a factor in marriage, you see. And before it was not really a factor. That's why marriages are failing. I mean, money is the key, as in, kama huna pesa, what else do you have between you two? Kama hamna pesa, you see. Another thing is positivity. Now everywhere there's negativity. A person cheats on his wife. Yes, marriage is a scam. Marriage is a scam. You don't even know what happened before that. What happens? What went on between that period? You see, there's a lot of negativity. Marriages don't work, and most of the people who say this are people who have seen marriages breaking at their homes.
Yeah.
You see, and I do believe that if we promote positivity and tell people that marriages do work, look at the right people, don't look at the wrong people, and there will always be a fight. It will not always be peaceful. It's only for you to push it, push it kabisa. I do believe that we can go back to the old values. I mean, let's go back to the good book.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, and as we close, Waswa, you have spoken about the online space. I can tell you for free, and I like what he's used as a phrase, that marriage is a scam. That is the narrative that is being sold online today. And I'm telling you, it is fashionable to be a single mom today. While deep down these people go back to their rooms and cry, it appears as though it's fashionable. You always constantly remind me that you actually can do without this man. It is fashionable to be a single dad. It is fashionable to co-parent. How do we get a shift?
First of all, you can get a shift from that, the way Joshua said, through talking to the right people. That is number one. And also looking at when you are trying to get into marriage, don't look at too much. You know, some people want perfection. don't go for perfection. And also, we can encourage the young guys to seek more guidance, and also to read more, and also to look at the good book for reference. Yeah, and positivity, always be positive that marriages can work. And also the young men can choose on who to follow on social media and who not to follow.
Wow.
Because there are many people out there who are just there to mislead others.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, Martha, briefly, how do we position our girls to be materials for marriage? I don't know whether this is right, because it appears like we have a problem and we scare our men away. What do we do to make sure that we are receptive enough, we appear as, you know, women that can be kept and they can form and make the best of a home?
Okay, for us women, let us remember that the man is the head. When as he comes in, he's going to be the head. So for us ladies, let us learn to be submissive, and also number two, let us know that we are coming to be the helpers to this man, and let us also work the marriage. You know, the Bible says that a wise woman builds her home. So as we are coming into this, let us know that we are going to be the builders for this home. We are going to be the builders even for the man, because we are here to help him. And also be positive, because so that we cannot scare them away. And also stop being nagging. As in, I want this, I want this. Yes, it is good to marry someone who has money, and someone who is who knows, who has a future, who knows that I have to work for this marriage. So be there, be the good helper, be wise, and also this home will work, and you're not going to scare them away.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do we shift this? How do we encourage our women that marriage is good? It is beautiful to walk around as a woman and you are considered as somebody else, you know, somebody's so and so's wife, you know, to pride in this name. Today I'll tell you for free that you even get married, you do a wedding, but you honestly do not want to take the name of your husband. Because abu unakaanga too ready, anything can happen, and therefore dropping it will be very easy.
We just need to heal. There's a lot of healing that needs to happen from past relationships, what we've seen. We just need to embrace make room for something new. You know, we need to heal. We need to let go. We need to enter with an open mind, you know, and have that commitment that I'm here to see this to the end. You know, like fix your mind. I'm looking for a family. I'm here to make a family. But once we heal from what we've seen, hang out with people whose marriages are working, you know, they rub that on, because I believe we become the people we hang around. As you stick around people whose marriages are working, it becomes very easy to be in a marriage that is working.
Kolo.
Yes.
Gumoja ndani ingine nje. How do we root out this mentality as we close?
Okay, first I would want to say what has been said by everyone here is absolutely true. And from talking from a spiritual perspective, I would say that first of all, if you want any marriage to work, you must begin with God.
Wow.
Secondly, marriage was never intended to fail. God never brought marriage to fail. And so that marriage can be able to be prosperous, you have to do a few things so that it can be able to be prosperous.
Okay.
And fourthly, let us seek wisdom from people who have been successful in their marriages. Let us look for mentors. We cannot grow in this space alone. You need someone to guide you and show you that marriage can work. Yes.
All right, thank you. And to the counselors of the day, very important. One, Pastor Jane, how important is marriage? Just let's remind us for a moment so that at least we understand that when we're getting to this space, we're not getting into a space of misery.
Yeah, marriage is important. It is actually authored by the creator of your own life. And so that's why people gravitate towards it or fight against it. Number two, I want to say the importance of marriage is because at a certain age in life, and that's what I tell all these people who've had marriage at the age of 20, 30, 40. When you get to the age of 60, 70, you realize marriage was actually all about companionship.
Because then
beyond the money,
yes,
beyond the what, it was all about companionship. And when you make companionship the prime thing, money should not even feature.
Okay.
Because you work, money should not feature. The most important thing is companionship.
Wow.
And that is what makes people one, and that's what makes a person complete and whole and happy.
I agree somehow, because I can now visualize some few people whom I know are very old and are together. They literally cannot stay apart from each other.
Yeah.
It's interesting. All right, as we close, Dr. Evolution and changing ideas of marriage are right here with us. How do we make them and craft them work for us in as much as we say that times have changed, it's a different generation and all that?
One thing I'll say is that right will always be right. Be the person who does the right thing in that relationship.
Okay.
Work out don't look at at what your spouse is doing, but you focus on what you came in there to add, and keep on adding it, keep on working it, and eventually that right that you keep on doing will right things.
Okay.
But if you keep on doing the wrong thing because your spouse is doing the wrong thing, it will make it worse. So be the right person, do the right thing, and it will work out.
Thank you so much. Monique Wangari, Martha Ngore, it was good having you this morning. Dennis Waswar and Yeshua Kimani, and lastly, Kulu. Thank you so much for the great insights, as we all hope that we get into that space where we can believe in marriage again. It works. It has worked for many. Why shouldn't yours work? If it doesn't work, please do not beat yourself. Sometimes some of these things, man, you really cannot fight and are beyond you. We close it at that. We hope to have another session where we get to encourage each other, enlighten each other, because then this space, as many of us would agree, is not a space that you walk alone. We close it at that, take a short break, and then we get into matters business.